Welcome to all. This is Dr. G. Varaman, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, JCT College of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore. Today, we are going to discuss about Introduction to Neural Networks. It's a very interesting topic because nowadays we are using neural networks in maximum sector. We all know that neural network is a subdivision of AI technology. AI technology means artificial intelligence techniques. It is simply denoted as AI. Similarly, ANN means artificial neural networks. It is denoted as ANN. Similarly, NN means neural networks. It is denoted as NN. AI, ANN, NN is the abbreviation of neural networks and its subdivision. So we know that AI technology is being used everywhere in the world in maximum sector from home appliances, vehicle control, business sector, satellite, wherever you go in maximum area, we are using AI technology. So I'm talking about neural networks, but why I'm talking about AI technology? Because neural network is a subdivision of AI technology, so that I'm talking about both AI and neural networks. So in this topic, we are going to discuss about some basic concepts of neural networks, like definition, evaluation of neural networks, comparison between neural networks and biological neuron, basic components of neural networks. These are the topics we are going to discuss about in today's presentation. First, what is the definition for neural network? Neural network is an information processing system. It is mainly used to process a complex problem, which is inspired by the biological neuron, which means the neural network is totally mimic and replicate the function of biological neuron. It is denoted as ANN. What is the branches of AI technology? Because I'm talking about neural networks, I'm talking about AI technology. So we need some clarification about what is AI, what is neural networks. I already told you, neural network it's a subdivision of AI technology. There are 6 subdivisions are there under the roof of AI technology. One is machine learning, another one is neural networks, next expert system, next robotics, next natural language processing, and final one is fuzzy logic. So we used to hear all these names in maximum times while we are reading newspapers or journal or movies also. We used to hear all these names maximum times. So in all sectors, we are going to discuss about neural networks because neural networks having some advantages comparing to all other technologies because it has ability to process massive amount of data for the pattern recognition. So comparing to other technologies under the roof of AI technology, neural networks have ability to process a massive amount of data as an input. So we can process some complex pattern and complex problem by using neural networks in very easy manner. And also these kind of neural networks, it's mainly used in pattern recognition, image and speech recognition, predictive analysis. In these kind of areas, we are using neural networks as a very effective tool to solve the some complex pattern and complex problem. Next, history of neural networks. Neural network was invented by 1940 to 1950s range by McLuch and Pitts. These two scientists invented concept of neural network by using logic gates, binary principle. After that, in 1960s to 1970s, it is evaluated as perceptron. Perceptron is nothing but a single layer neural networks. It has input and output. So after that, in 1980s, it was evaluated as multi-layer neural network. It is also called as back propagation neural networks. In 2010 to present days, it is evaluating day by day. Now it is called as deep learning domain. So it is started on 1940s. Till that, it is being evaluated day by day. Normal stage means early concept to perceptron, perceptron to back propagation to deep learning. Nowadays, we are using deep learning algorithm as a main and major tool of neural networks for maximum sector. So nowadays, it is the most emerging algorithm in neural networks, deep learning algorithm. I hope you hear that kind of name in. Next, I'm going to discuss about components of neural networks. So usually there are three components available in neural networks. I already told you AI means artificial intelligence techniques, NN means neural networks, AN means artificial neural networks. So here NN means neural networks. So there are three components, major components. One is input layer, another one is hidden layer, another one is output layer. There are three layers available. Apart from that, there are two major components available. One is weight, another one is bias. First, what is input layer means? Input layer simply gathering the input and fetch into the next layer. That's it. There is no computational operation happening in the input layer. It's simply passing the one layer to another layer. Next, output layer. Output layer also simply processing the output process from hidden layer to output, which means in input and output layer, not doing a maximum computational function. It is simply processing the one set of data into another stage. Input layer passing input to hidden, output layer passing hidden layer to output. That's it. Which means the maximum function and mathematical operation is being evaluated in the layer of hidden. Hidden layer only applying the maximum mathematical operation. Hidden layer consists of activation function, so which is implemented to solve the problem. So input layer and output layer simply processing the just data. Hidden layer only applying the activation function for the solving problem. Apart from that, we are having two components. One is weight, another one is bias. This is a simple structure of neural networks. X1 and X2, it is denoted as input layer. H1, H2, it is denoted as hidden layer. YK, it is denoted as output layer. So one input layer, one hidden layer, one output layer. This is called node. X1 is denoted as node. X2 is denoted as node. Similarly, H1 is denoted as node. H2 denoted as node. If you are denoting a simple component, a single round, it is denoted as node. In case if you are mentioning this line, it is called layer. I hope you can understand. This is called node. This is called node. This is called node. This is called node. But this is totally called as layer, input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. So totally three components are there. W11 means it is denoted as weight. So this is called weight. This is called weight. This is called weight. The connection between one layer to another layer is called as weight. Weight is nothing but the amount of information having in it. So X1 to H1 means this weight having some information about the input data. Similarly, X1 to H2 means this layer having some information about the input data. Similarly, this layer having some weight, this layer having some weight, this layer having some weight, this also having some weight. It is denoted as weight. So the basic components of neural networks are input, hidden, output. Next, we are going to discuss about comparison of neuron and neural networks. I already told you, neural networks is inspired by the biological neuron, means it is mimicking the function of the human behavior. So that we are going to discuss and compare between what is the relationship between neuron and neural networks. So we know that our human brain containing nearly 1000 billion of interconnected neuron, which is processing the information. How we are acting very smartly. It's all because of the biological neuron. Biological neuron gathering the information through the sensory organs, and then that kind of information storing and processing by using the dendrite, nucleus, and axon, and then this information processing one neuron to another neuron. Similarly, we are processing information and implementing the output. If a human wants to act very smartly, he needs a brain. He needs a biological neuron. Likewise, a artificial device need an artificial algorithm which is act as a human brain to make a machine as very smartly, so that we are mimicking the biological neuron behavior as neural network algorithm. Okay, so let's discuss about the parts of neuron. So biological neuron, it has dendrite, nucleus, cell body, axon. Dendrite means it is simply gathering the information from the environment. So gathering information are stored in nucleus. So nucleus having enough space. Once the storing information is filled, this nucleus getting fire and producing the action potential. This action potential is traveled through the axon and then reaching the axon terminal. So from here to another neuron, this information is processing like an interconnection. So dendrite, nucleus, axon. There are three important parts. Dendrite gathering the information from outside world, nucleus processing and functioning the input, and then based on the input, it is generating the action potential. This action potential is traveling through the axon, and finally axon to another neuron. This information is processing continuously. So this is the behavior of a biological neuron. So dendrite, nucleus, axon. So our scientist is inspired by these biological neurons, taking this action and implementing the neural network algorithm. How? Here the comparison of biological neuron and artificial neural networks. Dendrite taking input in biological neuron. Similarly, input node taking the input in artificial neural networks. Nucleus gathering the information and doing the computation function in biological neuron. Likewise, here a hidden node doing that function. An axon gathering the information from the nucleus and processing the output. Likewise, here output is doing the output function. Here synapse is called a wait function. So these are the components of biological neuron. These are the components of artificial neural networks. This artificial neural network is being inspired by the biological neuron. Dendrite means input. Nucleus means hidden. Axon means output. The connection of end terminal is called synapses. It is denoted as wait in neural networks. So go back to the previous slide. Here, dendrite is called as input. Nucleus is called as hidden. Axon is called as output. This synapses is called as wait. I hope you can understand. So next we are going to discuss about a simple architecture of neural networks. Here, x1, x2, x3, xm is denoted as input from 1 to m number of input. Next, summation function and activation function, it is denoted as hidden layer. And finally, y is denoted as output. So here we are having m number of input. All the input having some information, it is denoted as weight w1, w2, w3, and wm. Next, this input is moving to the hidden layer. We already told you input simply fetching the input to one layer to another layer means input to hidden layer. This is called as hidden layer. In hidden layer, we are summing all the input together and then applying the activation function to solve the problem. Once the problem is solved, next we are generating the output towards the problem. That output is processing to the output layer, it output layer fetching the output to system. So here input and output is not doing any computation function in simple architecture. This layer, hidden layer, is only performing the computational operation. So summing the input, summing the weight function from the input, and then applying the activation function. Once activation function is completed, next output is displayed in the output layer. So x1 to xm is called as input layer, w1 to wm is called as weight. All the weight summation and activation function is applied in the hidden layer, and finally we are gathering the output from the output layer. So here the summation function is x1 into w1 plus x2 into w2 plus x3 into w3 till xm into wm. This is called the summation function, means respective input and weight, respective input and weight, x1 into w1, x2 into w2, x3 into w3, all inputs and weight summing together, and then the net weight put is applied for the activation function f bracket y in bracket close. This is called activation function. So first applying the input, next adding input with weight. The summation weight is the next applied for the activation function. Once activation function is applied, we are getting the output. So output is equal to function of net input. Thank you so much for all watching this video. I hope it is very useful for you about to understanding the basic concept of neural networks and its components. The total summarized concept of today's topic is definition of neural networks, branches of AI technology, history and evaluation of neural networks, components of neural networks, comparison of neuron and artificial neuron, and basic architecture of neural networks. So if you have any queries, please keep in touch. Thank you so much. Thank you to all.